Hello and welcome round to my house. Now, you're in for a treat this morning because I'm going to be serving up a feast of chicken, salmon and tart tatin. We've got dishes from the Queen of Indian cookery, Anand, and a chef who's changed the face of Spanish cooking in this country. And to top it all off, we're going to be joined by a globe-trotting comedian who's bringing his hit new show to Hampshire. So what are we doing out here? Well, apart from getting a suntan, because it's glorious today, let's get inside and let's get cooking. Morning. Are you coming in then? Good morning, and what a show we've got lined up for you today. I'll be welcoming top stand-up comedian Dave Gorman to the house. We're treating him to two brilliant fish dishes. The wonderful wizard of Spanish cooking, Mr. Jose Pizarro, will be dropping by and taking over the kitchen duties in a little while. I'll be teaching you everything you want to know about making the perfect tart tatin in this week's masterclass. And me and my trusty Minnie will be teaming up with local chef Kenny Atkinson for a culinary adventure around Northumberland. And I'll be meeting a chef who's converted his Mini into the ultimate street food truck. I'm looking forward to that one. And if that wasn't enough, then I'll also be joined all morning by two chefs who are cornering the market in sensational Indian cookery. It's Dipna and Anand. Dipna, welcome to the show, but your dad has found the perfect place. Look, if anybody looks at home here...
Can you take that chair with him today, maybe?
I'd love to.
How are you doing? You all right? Happy?
Very happy.
Good, good. So, you're going to be cooking for us a little bit later?
Yeah.
Who's doing the cooking this time?
Well, both of us.
Right.
I'll
okay.
do the main part,
yeah.
and then Dad can fry.
And what are you going to be doing then?
Keema onion bhajis. So onion bhajis with a bit of a twist. These are delicious, really yum.
OK, sounds pretty good to me. I've been practising.
Yeah, she has. I've been eating.
Yeah, he's been eating them.
Good, exactly. So, anyway, I thought I'd do a wonderful little dish to start with. And as you know, when we started this show about sort of 2 years ago, in the middle of lockdown and everything else, and new series, we decided to sort of look at different suppliers around the country. I like to keep those going, so I'm going to introduce you to one of the suppliers in a second. But I thought I'd do like a warm Caesar salad with smoked chicken, a little bit of crispy bacon, a little bit of... You can put... I mean, we've got some amazing produce over here with some croutons and that kind of stuff. So the first thing I want to do is get on and do a bacon, because I need to make a dressing out of the bacon fat. All right? So I'm going to do a bacon fat dressing, which is like a mayonnaise, and then use some of the bacon fat to then turn this into a nice little dish. So we're going to start off...
Bacon.
So, proper bacon that we've got.
Yeah.
Proper bacon that we've got on here as well. Plenty of oil, because I'm going to use some of this as well. So I'm going to fry off the bacon in here. Quickly wash my hands. Because then I want you to have a taste of this. I'll give a little bit to your dad as well, because we've got a range of produce over here. So while our bacon... There's nothing... I mean, listen to that smell. Look at that. Listen to the smell. I don't know what I'm talking... Listen and smell. You know, I'm getting excited about this, because proper bacon is yeah, it's just... Yeah, it's proper. And hopefully, by the power of the internet, we can go live to a village called Hanbridge in Somerset to speak to Jessie Patterson from the Brown and Forest Company to find out how you make some of this amazing produce in front of us over here. So, Jessie, I can see you there in your smokehouse.
I am here in the smokehouse.
So, Jess, nice to speak to you as well. So, tell me about how it all started then, because it didn't start with you, did it, really, the smokehouse?
No, not at all. It started with a guy called Michael Brown about 30 years ago. And really, I think he had a huge French influence in him as far as real food. And you think about UK in the mid-'80s, early 80s, the food really wasn't, you know, Egon Rooney Food Guide was just the height of excitement. And so he just went back and started doing some hot smoking of produce. And then about 16 years ago, my wife and I bought the business, and for us, it was just about, you know, roasting food over an open fire and use that fire to then smoke the product, really. And we've just developed that theme in small batches and hot and cold. So that's how we sort of do it.
And it's interesting enough, the ethos you said, isn't a lot of companies like yourself go on longevity, you're looking at shelf life, that kind of stuff. You almost go the opposite. You're looking at the consistency and quality of the item. That's the secondary bit, is how long it lasts, isn't it, really?
Massively, really, because, you know, we can all do shelf life. we can all do, you know, here you go, have it in your fridge for 6 weeks. We can all do low quality. The fundamental for me is we're not really, you know, doing anything amazingly clever, but if I source fantastic food, you know, so the idea for me is I want you, if you love chicken, the first thing I want you to taste is the quality of amazing chicken with a little bit of smoke behind it, not a dried out piece of chicken that could be a smoked lozenge, really.
So how did you end up with the business then? Because this wasn't your job. How do you go from doing what you were, well, what were you doing before this? But how do you go from doing what you're doing to doing what you're doing now?
So I was trading. Ready for this? Just to send you to sleep. I was trading agricultural commodities. So I bought and sold fertiliser, seed, and fuel to farmers up in Suffolk. But my parents, I grew up over a restaurant. My parents were restaurateurs for 20 years, all the time I was growing up down in Sussex. So the food thing was always there. And I think the opportunity, my wife's from this part of the world down in Somerset, and I've known the smoker for a long time and known Michael. And I just thought we didn't have children at that point. All we were going to risk was money and bricks and mortar and a heart condition. Yeah, so we just went for it. And luckily, somehow we're still here.
Well, it's definitely paid off, because look, I've got some of this amazing bacon that we've got over here, and I'm just going to recap what I'm doing over here, ready with the bacon. So you start off with the bacon, and we crisp that up into our pan, which that is. We keep some of the fat, which I've got in there, and then what I'm making is we've got some croutons over here, which I'll just quickly sort of cook. This is the little dressing. So I've taken some garlic, egg yolks, some mustard. So this is kind of like a little Caesar salad dressing, which is going to go really well with this. I'm using a little bit of, you can use grapeseed oil, a little bit of vegetable oil in this as well. And I'm going to gradually pour this in. But I've got the garlic in there, and what I've done with the garlic is just cook the garlic in a little bit of milk. Because so often garlic mayonnaise and Caesar salad dressing can be quite raw. It can be, and that's because you don't cook the garlic, I think, beforehand. So we've just got a nice little bit of bread that I'm going to toast off. Into this now, we've got some anchovy over here, and then I'm going to use this selection of bits and pieces that we've got in here. Now, just to explain to everybody the difference between the smoked salmon that I've got in here, conventional smoked salmon that they're used to, the one in this pack over here, to one that also we've got on here, which is the hot smoke. So explain to the difference. Do you marinate the salmon beforehand, or is it just plain and simple smoked? How do you do that?
So basically, what we do is we tend to brine all our produce. You've got to introduce salt and water, obviously, in order for it to take a smoke. With hot smoking, it gives you the opportunity to brine, which is effectively marinade. So you can play a few bits. So the hot smoked salmon sides you've got there, we use a sort of it's got some soy sauce, some brown sugar, water, bit of sherry, bit of garlic, just to sit with it. And again, a real quick brine, only sort of 2 hours. Most smokehouses will go 6, 8, 10. Again, we're not looking for shelf life, so that puts a bit into it. And then really, the difference between hot and cold smoking is, with cold smoking, nothing's getting cooked. You put some bacon, you cure some bacon, you put it in a cold smoker, it's raw when it goes in, it's raw when it comes out, it's just ready for you to cook. Cold smoked salmon is exactly that. It's a raw fish that you've cured and smoked. But hot smoking, you've just cooked it. So that side of salmon there, all we've done, had a big fire once we've done it. I'll show you, I'll open these up for you. This is the hot smoker.
Look, watch when you open this up. This is good. I love this.
I was going to ask.
Smoking some chicken on the top at the moment. So if I open the door, you'll see.
Look at that.
Oh, my goodness.
OK, so down here, it was a great big fire flame here, and we roasted that hot smoked salmon, or in this case, these chicken breasts, over that fire. Once we're happy they're cooked, kill the fire back with really fine oak dust, and you can see just one handful produces a huge amount of smoke. And then literally just 20 minutes for 20 minutes to cook them, 20-ish minutes to smoke them, and that's it. Get them out, they're done. So that's the difference between the two.
And then you've got the coal smoker is the other side of you, is it? Just next to you as well? I'm just building up my little salad over here, but that's the other one that's in here.
So the cold smoker, we've got, so the classic cold smoked salmon, we're going to smoke like this. Effectively, it's just a brick cupboard. It's just a good old, it's a brick privy with a thunderbox taken out, to be honest. You know, it's just a brick cupboard, sawdust laid on the floor, and I've got haddock in here that's been through this overnight, so you see some lovely smoked haddock, and it's just a cupboard in there. and you'll be able to see down on the floor oak dust just tapering along, producing huge amounts of smoke, but no heat and no flame. And that's why it's a cold smoker. So we've got some beautiful haddock straight out of Brixham that we cured. We brined last night. It's been in there for a night. There you go. It's taken the smoke beautifully. But unlike the stuff you see that looks like it's been eating nuclear fusion and gone luminous, that's just a naturally smoked piece of haddock, and that's done, and that'll be out and done. And that's the two forms of smoking.
Well, I wish you all the very best of luck with it as well. I think, you know, to seeing it like that is fantastic. And from what started out like for somebody else's business, you've taken it on, you pushed it forward. I think it's brilliant. Best of luck with it. Just before you go, stay with us because I know
I'll be ordering first.
Exactly. Well, stay with us because I know you want to see the end product. But I've taken some of your smoked chicken. I've got the bacon. I've got the bread, the lettuce, and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to finish this off with this dressing. So in here, I've just got some garlic. I've got the anchovy. We take the bacon fat from this, and you gradually pour this in, and it'll start to sort of liquefy this again and make it go. This is exactly how you want. So you just keep going, keep going, keep going. See, bacon fat mayonnaise.
So does that bacon fat mayonnaise have to go, the oil have to go in at the end, or it can go...
It needs to go in, well, not when it's still hot, because otherwise it'll separate the mayonnaise and split it. So you just take that, gradually pour this in, pour this in, pour it in. So you've flavoured the whole lot. So you mix this all together, it starts to go lovely and creamy, and then you can grab your spoon, like that, and you see when you drizzle it over the top, look.
Dad's salivating. He's already eaten half that plate, and now...
the chicken's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, obviously, with that, you can then put Parmesan cheese, which you want to put over the top.
Loads of Parmesan.
Loads of Parmesan cheese over the top. And there we have it, sort of my smoky bacon, smoked chicken Caesar salad with croutons and a smoked bacon mayonnaise. Job done. Now, I was going to present it to you, but I thought with your dad being here, you can start... Come on, boss. Let me grab that off. You can... And then you can come around as well and dive in. Dive into... You start at one end and work your way through, so off you go. You got your knife and fork. There you go. Tell me what you reckon.
This looks mouth-wateringly delicious. I'm trying to get a bit of everything.
Bit of the bacon, bit of the croutons, bit of the cheese, bit of everything.
That is wicked.
So I can see what your dad's thinking, because I've known him a while now. He's thinking, can I adapt this to stick it on the restaurant menu?
This is absolutely amazing.
He's going to demolish that. Should we just leave him here for a while?
I'll just leave him here for a while. But, and you're going to be cooking for us a little bit later. What are you going to be doing?
Keema onion bhajis.
Sounds pretty good to me. Sounds pretty good. They're going to taste amazing. And I'll be serving up a first course of curried deep-fried salmon for my guest, Dave Gorman, in just a while. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, I'll be meeting up with my old friend, Kenny Atkinson, on a foodie road trip around the wilds of Northumberland. See you in a bit. Save some for the crew.
Yeah, Dad.
I brought samosas for them.
He did.
It's nice. Welcome back. Now I'll be showing you how to make a restaurant-quality apple tartan in this week's Little Masterclass. And later I'll be treating the very funny Dave Gorman to a plate of salmon very shortly. OK, it's time to take a look back at one of my favourite food adventures. And this week I'm heading up to Northumberland, where I'm dropping in on a good mate of mine, Kenny Atkinson, and serving up one of my favourite ever dishes on the beach up there. Enjoy this one. Today, I've made it to the wild and rugged northeast county of Northumberland, an area of contrasting landscapes, covered in mountains and moorland stretching to the stunning coastline. And my travel companion for the day knows the area well, born and bred local and Michelin-starred chef, Kenny Atkinson. Kenny, get in. Sorry, mate, it takes a while. It takes a while. It is a Mini. I did get lost, actually, I'll give you that. I've got no sat-nav in this thing, you see. Kenny's amazing career has taken him all over the world, but he's not forgotten his roots, so I can't think of anybody better to show me around this neck of the woods. You've got a bit of everything here, because a lot of people think sort of the North East stops at Newcastle.
Newcastle as a city is a great city, but past that, you've got some phenomenal coastlines.
100 miles of coastline as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be great for you as a restaurateur to write a menu that you've got such an abundance of great stuff on your doorstep.
It is. A lot of it's now becoming more sustainable. It's great to support local businesses as well, so it's great for me as a chef to have this on my doorstep.
What got you started in cooking in the first place? Your family were into it? Or?
My family were in the pub trade, so I actually fell into cooking by accident.
Right.
My uncle said, well, start off in the kitchen, start off dishes and learn the kitchen side of it.
Yeah.
And then when you're 18, you can do the course.
Okay.
So I started working in the kitchens. I kept picking the food that was coming back. Not that I was hungry. I was just like, just wanted to taste things. I just fell in love with it, and then that was it. That was the bug, and I've never looked back.
So I've been talking to chefs who I've met along the route. You see, they take the mick out of me for collecting bits and pieces, but chefs collect stuff as well.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
do.
They hoard stuff. Your plates.
I'm a bit of a hoarder for plates. I like to buy plates. I like to use them, then put them in the stock room and keep them. And
Just collect
I
plates.
just love plates.
I think you need to get out more, Kenny.
I think I don't need to get out more.
I'll be catching up with Kenny later, as there's somewhere I want to go solo for my first cook. Bordering Scotland and covering the northeastern tip of England, Northumberland stretches south to the city of Newcastle. Inland, it's wild and rugged, while the coast is dominated by wide, sandy beaches. My first stop is the Port of Seahouses, to meet fish merchant Patrick Wilkin, who owns a smokehouse called Swallowfish. Now, I've been told he has some of the finest crab this county has to offer, so I can't resist picking some up to cook with. Hi there, boss.
All right.
This building's steeped in history, innit?
It is, yeah.
How long's this place been going?
They've been smoking since about 1842.
By the smell of it, same kiln.
It is, exactly the same job, yeah.
OK, so
Nothing's changed.
I'll tell you what, those crabs look good.
Not a
A few
problem.
crab claws and a few whole crabs. Hot kipper in a bun. Is that quite popular?
It is. Very popular.
Can I have a kipper in a bun? Yeah. Excellent. Does smell good in here. There you go, boss.
All right, 15, thank
Have
you.
a beer on me.
Cheers, thank you.
Lovely, that. Fresh ingredients and a cheeky sandwich. I couldn't be happier. Kipper in a bun. And I found the perfect location for my mobile kitchen to cook a delicious seafood dish. Welcome to the beautiful East Coast. It's spectacular, isn't it? Look at that. That's Holy Island. I'm going to visit that a little bit later. And I thought I'm going to do a dish that excites me for this one because it uses all the crab, all the lobster from literally over there, out there. This recipe comes from Singapore. So it starts off with some fried garlic, lots and lots of garlic. And we put it in the oil. This is just veg oil in here. This is a garnish bit for the top. So we're just going to cook that nice and gently so we get these garlic crisps. And I love this dish. It comes from a great restaurant, a brilliant name. All it says is, I've got crabs. That was the name of the restaurant. I love it. And I remember you just have it with a bib. It's one of those amazing dishes that you just want to eat and eat and eat. Toast off this little bit of garlic. The temptation is to get it go a little bit too dark. This is how you want it. So just take this off. No more than that. Get rid of the sand. Hot pan on the stove. Running through the ingredients, I've got some lemongrass, I've got some chilli, I've got some ginger, all local to here. And all we're going to do with this is we're going to thinly slice it. Now, lemongrass requires you to cut it quite thin. You can chop it all up into pieces, cut it through the middle. But with this one, you want to taste everything. So you take a very, very sharp knife, slice this all through. So you get the lemongrass done, the chilli. Now, this is Singapore chilli crab. So you don't take the seeds out of chilli. So we chop all this lot up like that. Keep that separate. And you can use green. It's entirely up to you. And for a little bit of fire, you can put a few of those bird's eye chilies in there as well. But a few little are the little bird's eye chilies. Stalks the lot. And then the ginger, this was also just peeled and just sliced, really. That'll do. Now, to cook this, oil. A little bit of veg oil. And take your lemongrass, your ginger, straight in, your chili, all in. This is going to be good. Now, if you wanted to put onions in there, it's entirely up to you. I like to just use spring onions for this one, so I'm going to use a few for the tops. There's a little garnish as well. And we'll throw that in there as well. And that's the great thing about living in this country. We embrace all these different flavours, and we still use some of the classics. Ketchup. So this is the sauce that we're making for the crab. So a whole bottle of ketchup in there. And then this is where we get the stickiness from it. I'm going to use some chili jam, but also we use some sugar in there as well. A little bit of fish sauce. Now I say a little bit, it's really trial and error with this sort of stuff. This is your sort of seasoning, your fish sauce and your soy. You've got to enrich it as well with some of this stuff. This is hoisin. And what you want to do is just bring this to the boil now and cook it for a couple of minutes. So I was going to season this with a bit of salt, but I couldn't resist getting this sort of stuff. It's literally from sea houses down there. It's smoked sea salt. They smoked this for 5 days. So I thought I'd do this. Add a little bit of smoky taste to it as well. That's going in. Now, this is my favourite ingredient ever, crab. But these are brown crabs. These are amazing, literally just from out there. When I had this dish originally, I had it with sort of the spider crabs. They call these the vermin of the sea, the spider crabs, but I call them the athletic crabs. Very expensive and not a lot in it. These are like stumpy crabs. Delicious. And what we do with this is you just crack the claws. Literally just crack them. Like that. Throw them in. Shells the lot. These are cooked crab claws, by the way. You just pop them in. Doesn't work with crab sticks. Not the same. And we got whole crab as well. Literally. Legs. In. Take the middle out. And we just crack this straight down the middle. And throw that in. Take the whole half shell. Crack it down the middle. Throw that in. Lobster. To hell with the expense. Throw that in, look. In. Chop this down the middle. Now you can, of course, you can do this with shellfish like shrimp, which is really good. But look at this. Now we're talking. And then what I'm going to do, just to serve this, is I'm just going to take some coriander, lightly chopped bit of coriander, over the top, spring onions, a few bits of them, give it a stir, touch of fresh lime, over the top, and then, because there's people going to be from here, probably watching from a campsite over there on TV, on their holiday, thinking, that's not local. It is, because I'm going to serve it with this stotty cake, a flat bread, supposed to be sort of soft, that they throw it in the bottom of the oven. But a lovely little piece of bread, and when you toast this and you have it, trust me, oh dear, it's unbelievable. Now, classically, they have this with peas pudding, which is like a split pea mixed with water as a sandwich. That's how they would normally have it, with a bit of ham. But this, to mop up all the other stuff, you see, this is what happens. I haven't even started eating it yet. I'm just cooking it. And already it's all over my shirt. This is why you need a plastic bib. And just finally, we're just going to sprinkle the garlic chips on the top. We've got Holy Island behind me. We've got heavenly food in front of me. That's what it is. It's a proper dish, that. Singapore-style Northumberland crab, complete with stotty cake. You just can't beat it. If in doubt, improvise. It's an amazing part of the world, that. The beaches are absolutely stunning there, and that dish is spectacular. Right, still to come, I'll be meeting a chef who's having some food adventures of his own with a converted mini, and we've got dishes on the way from Dipna Anand and Jose Pizarro that you don't want to miss. But we're back in a couple of minutes when I'll be in the kitchen welcoming comedian Dave Gorman to the house. I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be showing you the proper way in a masterclass to make a classic tat tan. And we've got chefs Dipna Anand and Jose Pizarro, who'll be treating us to recipes of their very own a little bit later. But first, I'm here with a comedian who's travelling the country, bringing PowerPoint to the people in his latest leg of his tour around the globe. It's Dave Gorman! Welcome to the house, welcome to the show as well.
Lovely to be here, thank you.
Middle of the tour.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this, but this is I was trying to figure out last night and trying to do some research on you, going, how many tours have you done in your life? Because you started this quite young, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been doing stand-up since I was 19. I don't know how many years you get into it before you're really doing a tour of your own show. But, yeah, over 30 years of it. Passed my 30-year anniversary during lockdown, so haven't really been doing it for 30 years, got 2 years off.
Well, 30 years of television I've been doing, cooking on TV, so hopefully you're going to like this one. I'm going to do a chickpea dal with a nice little bit of deep-fried salmon. We're going to do this in a nice little batter, but a few Indian sort of spices in there, Indian sort of twist with that. But I'm going to take some onions to start off with and start frying this off in a little bit of oil. But I mentioned the tour as well. You started off at 19. Was that by a default? Is that always what you wanted to do? Was it acting? What was it?
It was sort of secretly what I always wanted to do. I never told anyone it's what I wanted to do. I went to university to study mathematics. I used to write ideas in a notepad for stand-up, but never tell anyone about it. And then there was a tour, went around the country. It was people like Frank Skinner and Joe Brand, but before they were famous, were on the tour. And in the afternoon of every show, Frank Skinner used to run a comedy workshop for aspiring comedians. And my housemates at university frog-marched me to the bus stop and said, "You're going to that workshop." And so I did. I had a great time at that. There was a guy there called Henry Normal, who, he's still a performer, he's on Radio 4 at the moment, but he went on to become a very influential producer. He set up Baby Cow with Steve Coogan and things. He was a performer at the time. He was there doing the show that night. He got me a charity gig at a university the week after. And then maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I was in the audience at a show. Frank Skinner was headlining. I was on the back row, and he came up to me at the end of the gig and said, "You were at that workshop, weren't you?" He gave me a phone number, said, "Call that. There's a man called Malcolm will answer the phone. I'll get you a gig in Birmingham for 70 quid. So I got this sort of... I just sort of got gifted this first paid gig really early on. And started having the time of my life. About 3 or 4 gigs in, I died horribly.
Well, I want to ask you about this, because
Yeah.
you were at a gig, because this is at a particular place where even the people behind the bar were booing you.
Yeah. It's a club. I think it was called the Hippo in Nottingham.
Love it.
I don't think it's there anymore because I burnt it down. And when I was booked, the guy who booked me said, "Do you need the money?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Good, because you're going to die." And I was introduced with words I can't repeat on daytime television.
You were the first act on?
I was the first act on. There was only 2 acts on.
Yeah.
And I was told they routinely slaughter the first act. It's sort of like sport.
Right.
And the guy who was introduced to me went, "First act, never seen him before. He might be bleep."
Right.
And I walked on. Before I'd said hello, they were
off.
jeering and whatever. I didn't realise I was just the sport.
You cut your teeth in that. Look, I'm just going to... We've got the onions. I've coloured the onions here. A little bit of garlic, a little bit of ginger, grated for that. I've got some mustard seeds going in there. I've got some garam masala. I'm going to put a little bit of turmeric. I'm going to say some of these spices for the batter as well that's going to go with this. A little bit of the turmeric in there and start that off. But I've got some chickpeas in here. These are split peas. Yellow split peas that have been soaked overnight
Would you ever do this with tinned?
You can do it tinned. It's just a lot quicker if you do it with tinned.
Yeah.
But I like the flavour of this to sort of... You want the flavour to develop over a good 40 minutes of cooking. The tinned ones are fine, but you're not going to get the same flavour as what you get in here. So these go in here. It's just everything happens much faster, and you want all the flavours of the spices to come through. So cover it with water like that. Gently, gently cook this down. Turn it down now, and we're going to cook this for about sort of 40 minutes. I don't usually do this, but this is one I made earlier, but this is this one that we've got in here, which we're going to finish this off with lemon and butter, and then I'm going to serve this with the salmon and add a little bit of butter. The butter will enrich it while we're doing that as well. But I said, you know, I mentioned the fact that people are coming to you now and paying money to come and see you now. Neither of us can remember how many tours you've been doing.
No, you reckoned you'd counted over 12. That sounds about right. I don't really know.
And you're constantly touring, not just in the UK, but globally as well. Tell us about the tour that you're on at the moment. You're sort of bang in the middle of. Tell us about that.
Well, this one is just kind of UK. We go over to Ireland. That's as far as this one's travelling.
Yeah.
I know we start the next leg next year, starts in Darlington, but we're going all over, up and down. We've already been to Scotland. We're going back up to Edinburgh and Glasgow. We're all over the country.
And this is used the basis of what happened on tour before, using the PowerPoint thing. So tell us, where did that idea come across? Because you're using... I mean, there's hundreds of PowerPoint, hundreds of
so in the show,
in
there are approximately 850 slides, which across 2 hours, I think, means I basically press the clicker. I think, on average, that's once every 8 seconds. So it sort of moves very quickly. And what it does, I think, it started years ago. I did these shows where I was telling one long true story for a while.
Right. Because you started, the very first tour was finding Dave Gorman.
Yeah, so when I did that...
How the hell do you find...
Well, this was before the internet as well.
How did you do that?
Well, this was before the internet, and what you did was you met one and he told you about another, and you sort of followed the... you knocked the dominoes over and followed the story. Right. But to prove that was a true story, I had on stage a slide projector with photos and an old... You know the old overhead projector that your geography teacher used to use with the acetates?
My geography teacher used to be called Buttons. I do remember that.
Right. Yeah. We had one of those on stage, and I would run between the two. So I had, like, documents to prove I'd flown somewhere and photos to prove I'd met someone, and I was proving it was a true story that way. And then the next show I did was called Google Whack Adventure, and it involved technology, it involved computers.
Right.
And I started building it in the same way as I'd done Are You Dave Gorman, with an overhead projector and a slide projector. And then I was like, I'm not going to print out a page from Google onto an acetate and then put it on an overhead projector to show it to me. There's a better way of doing this. There's a much shorter way of doing this. Yeah. So I put a laptop on stage instead and ran it through a projector. And that's basically what I've been doing ever since. And it's proof that what I'm telling you is true. Right. Because I think a lot of audiences have a little cynicism and they don't even mind, but when a comedian says, oh, funny thing happened on the way to the theatre, they think, no, it didn't. It didn't really. Yeah. And it just takes away 10% of the reaction. Right. And if you prove to them that what you're saying is true, it adds 10% to the reaction. Because they're being confronted with actual facts and the kind of, oh, my life, the world is actually like that, and this person actually said that, and this person really exists, becomes so much more powerful as a mechanism for making them laugh.
Is it still about real life stories? That's what gets the biggest hit?
It is, yeah. It's not necessarily... So in those shows, they'd be just me on one long narrative from beginning to end. Yeah. Now it's much more like stand-up. But there is still stuff that comes back later on in the show from earlier. It's all sort of tied together as a thread in some way. And it's like every comic, you mine your own life and you mine your own experiences. So when I was doing those shows, I didn't have a family and I was able to just go off.
But you mentioned the fact that, we talked about the fact that you were booed and all that, stayed on stage for 20 minutes. But I was reading a story, whether or not it's true or not, didn't you do one gig where somebody was... I've read two stories.
Go on.
One might be right, they both might be right.
Yeah.
One of which involved a pregnant lady.
Yeah.
Who...
Maidenhead. Yeah.
It's true?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was doing 3 nights in a venue in Maidenhead, and I came in for the 3rd night, and there was one of the chairs, how they flip up, it was propped open, and there's loads of cleaning products around it, and the staff were really eager to tell me that the night before, a woman had gone into labour, her waters had broken, and she'd thought, no, I'm staying to the end of the show. I've bought my ticket. I'm staying, which I think is the greatest compliment anyone in an audience has ever paid me, because she's starting to give birth. But she's thinking, no, I'm going to hang around. I'm liking this.
So
It's
that one,
all right.
we're going to. I'll do the other story.
I know what the other story is going to be.
We'll
I'm ahead of
save
you.
that. Save it at the end. So we've got in here because you're sticking around for the rest of the day. Look, we got. We're going to finish this off now. A little bit of lemon. So I've got some butter, the lemon. The thing is with this, with dals, it's salt. And you've got to season it really, really well. So season it really well, and that brings out all the rest of the flavours. If it doesn't taste so much in terms of the spice, salt. And put salt in it. If you think it needs more salt, put more salt in it. That's what it's generally going to need. The fryer is here with the fish. Just lift that out like that. A little bit of seasoning over the top of this. And then it's ready to plate, really. We're almost done. So you've got the batter, which is nice and light. I put the same spices in, a little bit of mint, a little bit of coriander, that kind of stuff. And we take this wonderful little dal.
That looks good.
It's just, this is so, so tasty. The great thing about this, you can let it go cold as well. You can fry it once it's cold, like refried beans. It's delicious. Now, I know, because I've done a tour this year, I know this beats most tour food, unless you have your own caterers with you as well, but...
We don't. I imagine the catering on your tour is quite good.
Well, I cook it myself, that's...
Exactly, yeah.
But you take a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. I think that's why we get the same crew each tour, and each tour that I do, it's usually the same crew, because they want to...
They want to come back.
They want to come back.
Yeah,
the crew
yeah.
with AC/DC 1 minute, and then... When's that James Martin tour? We can have all that food again. But look, a little bit of this...
I imagine the AC/DC tour has its charms as well.
I bet it does, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then a little bit of the mint as well over the top. And there you have it. So deep-fried salmon with a nice little chickpea dal.
That looks
Easy as
spectacular.
There you go. Bon appetit. Dive into that with the salmon and the crispy batter and see what you think of the crunchy batter. I think it's...
That is...
It's nice, isn't it? So simple. So simple if it works, yeah.
That's delicious.
There you go. All right, I'll be treating Dave to a second course of sustainable fish a little bit later on in the show. And Chef Jose Pizarro will be making a visit to the house very shortly. But join me again after the break when Dipna Anand, yes, Dipna's back, and her dad, and they'll be both treating us to some more incredible Indian cookery. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, there's still loads more to come from my guest, Dave Gorman, and I'll be treating you to a seasonal recipe. I'm using apples in today's little masterclass of a classic tarte tatin. But first, I'm here in the kitchen with two chefs whose London restaurant has been setting the standard of Indian food in this country ever since the 70s. It's Dipna and Anand. You started off in the 70s, didn't you?
Oh, do I look that old?
It's your dad's idea.
Dad, yes.
So dad's, and I mean, it's a great restaurant. I mean, so busy as well.
It is a busy restaurant.
It is amazing. So what are you going to be doing? This is a dish off the menu, is it? Or?
So this is one of my grandfather's recipes, onion bhaji. It's really popular in both restaurants.
Okay.
We also do these with the football stadiums and the leisure venues, but simple, easy. Dad's going to be frying, by the way.
I know, Dad. I was talking to him about cricket as well. Both cricket lovers as well. So what do you start with? What's the herb?
So
in
the bowl we have some chopped spinach.
Right.
I've then gone in with some diced potato.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and add some onion as well. So you know, like normal onion bhajis have lots of onions.
Yeah.
These don't. So the secret is just to keep the onion quite limited like this.
Okay.
We're going to add the keema as well. And what I've done is just pan-fried the keema, just cooked it a little bit.
One thing that fascinated me when I first ventured into a busy Indian restaurant was the amount of onions used. I mean, almost you got two people on onion duty. Just that's all they're doing is onion duty.
5 in my kitchen.
The base of any curry is onion.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the amount that you're using is unbelievable. So what else you got in there? Coriander?
So I've added some coriander. I've also going to go in with some green chilli. You like spice, right?
I do like spice.
Yes, it's fine. So we just add chopped green chilli, bird's eye green chillis are really spicy ones.
Now, looking at the mince, that's cooked mince, is it?
Yeah, so I just pan-fried it.
Okay.
The reason you don't keep it raw is because then you get the greasiness in the bhaji and you don't want that. So about 1.5 tablespoons of ginger garlic, and we use this in like big amounts as well. So ginger garlic is always put into our curries. It's
Ginger garlic puree.
Yeah, so we just put it into like every single dish pretty much. Dad, did I add salt in this?
You haven't.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I think I did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
You haven't.
No, you haven't.
Both of you, between you...
What? You haven't
You
put
know
any salt
what,
in it?
yeah, you two are winding me
You
up.
haven't put any salt in it?
I have.
You haven't?
Yeah, I have. It's salty. You two, stop it.
Okay.
Okay, mixing it all together.
Yeah.
I've added everything that I need to add.
Yeah, that's
I also added the white vinegar. What that does is when you fry the bhajis, it stops the oil from seeping in. So these are not going to be like oily bhajis. That's the secret. Don't nick that one.
Well, you've just told everybody. Don't mind
I
nicking.
said don't you nick that one,
All right,
James,
so
right?
white vinegar stops your bhajis from being oily.
Any fried food, even samosas, just add a little bit of white vinegar. That's the secret. And then...
Well, it's not so secret anymore, is
Not
it?
anymore,
You just
no.
ruined that. Okay.
And then gram flour, because that's what you need to mould the bhajis.
Okay.
And then to save my nails.
To save your nails.
Save my nails.
So what do you mean to save your nails?
But I don't want to get them...
Oh, you had copper nails.
They're not copper, it's chrome. They're chrome, rose gold chrome nails.
Okay.
But yeah, to save your nails, you do it like
Call
this.
it up north, it's polished rust. It's a rust colour.
No, it's not. And Dad, I don't know why you're laughing. Okay,
It goes
I'm
with
mixing it.
the bhajis.
Where's the liquid side of it?
You don't need any liquid because, of course, the vegetables in the bhajis will let off their liquid of their own, so you don't need any liquid.
So even when you... What about the onion bhajis when you're doing that? What's the liquid side of that then?
Just from the onions.
So no-
Some people do add water.
Onions and spinach.
Yeah, we don't add
vegetables.
water, but that gram flour, so the besan, is going to help mould it all together.
Right.
And as you come like to the end of this mixture, if you have some left, which obviously you will when you're making the bhajis, you might need to add more gram flour because it will just start leaking a little bit more water. But this is perfect now.
Okay.
I'm just going to change gloves.
Right.
And then what you can do is help me mould,
So what are the gloves? Why the gloves?
just to save my nails.
Save the nails. Okay.
You can use your hands.
So
Because
shall I
then you'll
pass you
have
this
nice
tray?
yellow nails.
All right, thank you. So, I was going to say...
No, you're going to stretch it. It's small.
I'm not even
No,
going to
no,
get
no,
that.
no, no.
I'm going to put this here. Yeah?
No, it's going to...
No, it's
I
not gonna go.
told you that. Okay, right, so all you do, you keep the bhajis small as well. These are not like chunky bhajis, but you keep them small like
Why
this.
don't you do chunky bhajis?
Because then the potato won't cook nicely from the inside if your oil's on like 180.
All right. So they
Just
want to be
like
like
this.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
See how easy that is?
Yeah.
And now you just have to make sometimes 150 kilos of these at the restaurants.
Because you're doing, I mean, you're doing not only the restaurants, but people have seen you out and about, outside catering, racehorses and the festivals and all manner of different stuff you're doing.
Yeah, it's been a
as
bit
well.
crazy, especially with this curry truck now. We have
Well,
this
I'm going
food
to mention
trailer.
that because this is going to be a bit like Crime Watch, this bit. We're going to have a shout out because you had, your dad had invested in a van,
Yes.
Yeah.
a nice trailer. You showed me pictures of this trailer. And then I got a phone call from you saying somebody's nicked it.
Well, yeah, that was the trailer that we first had, and it just went missing.
But it's
We
got
were
your
so-
face on the side of it.
I know.
Yeah,
And
we were
now-
fully branded.
Fully branded.
Such a huge thing. How can it go missing?
Well, we're going to shout out, if you've seen Dipna's truck face driving around a town, city, countryside, call the police.
Yes, 100%. We now have a new trailer,
Right.
still with my face on it.
Oh, well, don't call the police when that goes past then. Well, what differentiates... You're going to get stopped on the M6
People
now.
already
You're
do
just going to
that.
get... You're
No,
going
but
to
people
your dad's
already-
going to get pulled over on the M25 now.
On the
He's
way
going to
home.
get... You're getting your dad arrested.
I'm staying over for a few days.
Don't do that. Don't phone the police.
No, but this one's an Airstream, so you'll
Right.
know the difference. But yeah, this one goes to every single,
Right.
pretty much, sports venue. It's
So one looks like a... What trailer?
well, one's just like more of a box trailer, and this
Right.
new one is our Airstream.
Like an Airstream trailer.
New Airstream.
Yeah, this is like a modern one.
Got out of
Shall
that
we
one fine, didn't we?
Yeah, shall we give these ones to Dad to fry off?
Go on then. Yeah.
What
you
we need
see-
is
I can see the
food
reason
truck.
why you wear the gloves now.
See?
Yeah.
But it's fine. You
Now I've
need
got
to get your
rusty
hands.
hands.
You need to get your hands dirty.
Yeah,
It's fine.
thank you.
This is what Indian food is all about.
So you do these, and interesting enough with these, you do them in batches, as in you fry them, and then you take them out and fry them again.
yeah.
Why do you do double fry?
See, at the restaurant, we half fry them and then we pack and send to sites,
Shall I
and then
take that tray?
they can
Yeah.
finish off.
This is like a production line.
Yeah,
We
see
could-
that? We could...
This is. We could have a trailer of our own outside.
could,
couldn't we?
right?
Exactly.
That sounds like a plan to me. But imagine how many of these we have to make. They're like one of the best-selling dishes. for us.
Can you freeze these at all?
Yeah,
or-
you can.
Yeah.
You can freeze them.
So freeze them. So the potatoes is the potatoes cooked?
No,
or
the
it's raw?
potatoes are raw. So, and when you fry them, like Dad's doing now, they'll just fry all the way through. So you don't have to half fry them. You can fry them all the way through. The reason we half fry is just for the event, so that they can regen them on site.
Do you think we've got enough now, or do
Yeah,
we
we've
just keep going?
pretty much got enough. Yeah,
Right.
we've got enough. Dad's
That's
got
enough
some-
for me.
So you're freezing them at this stage, not at this...
No. You half fry and freeze.
Half fry then
Half
freeze.
fry and freeze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, that's that. So look, your dad's concentrating on these ones. So I know he wants to take these out and fry the other
See,
ones.
what's happening now is the potatoes might not be holding together as well, so you can, at this stage, add some gram flour. I can't
Oh,
believe
right, okay.
both of you missed me putting the salt in, though. You couldn't have both missed it.
I don't think you put salt in these ones, but anyway, we'll soon find out when we taste it. It'll be a little bit
Well, it's
rubbish.
fine. I've got those as backup.
Huh?
I've got those as
No,
backup.
they'll be fine. Your
See?
dad made those ones, he told me.
No,
earlier.
he didn't.
Oh, he
I
told me.
made them. And yesterday I asked him.
Do we
you
need
can
any
wash
more?
your. No, you can wash
Right,
them.
okay.
I asked Dad yesterday before he was going off to the restaurant.
You were
can
too busy getting your nails
No,
done,
I
your dad
wasn't.
told
I
me.
came back
Yes, you
and
were.
I said, please help me chop the potatoes.
you've
and
got-
he said, I've got bookings at the restaurant. I have to go.
Your dad told
So-
me you'd gone on Groupon and you'd gone for about 4 hours and got your nails done.
No, I didn't.
She did.
You did? See?
No, it wasn't 4 hours. It was not even 1 hour. You guys are wind-up
Then you went
merchants.
shopping apparently to get a headband. You got all that.
No, I didn't go shopping yesterday. Although I had to think about that because I normally do go shopping all the time.
Can we go on to the recipe? What are we doing?
We're pretty much presenting now. They're all pretty much done.
Right.
But, yeah, those ones are half-fried.
No, let
And
me-
it's fine. They're seasoned. I tasted them.
Okay.
It's absolutely fine. Both of you lost this challenge, I'm afraid, that you plotted against
So at
me
this
again.
moment in time, you would freeze them as those ones?
No, not
cool-
this
we
one.
cool them
These
up.
are full. Yeah,
We'll
these are
cool them off first, and
So
then...
if you were just frying them once, how long do you then fry them for?
just all the way through, so like 4 to 5 minutes.
4
That
to
took
5
about
minutes.
four
Okay,
or
and
5
that,
minutes.
like we're doing now, you can just
Yeah,
reheat them like
and
that.
you can
Okay.
see, you can test the potato is nice and soft.
So you're ready to serve these then, are you?
Yeah.
Fire away. So,
So add them there. I'm going to wait for a bit more so
Okay.
that I can pile them
so
up a little bit.
tell me about this then, because
So this is my treasure chest.
Yeah.
And the bhajis are like treasure because
Do you want
they're
this
made...
across as well?
Yes, please. They're made with so much love individually. So these are my treasure keema bhajis. I'm
and
gonna-
what do you call what is
So these are, again, my grandfather's recipes, all of them.
right?
Really popular. We still make these at the restaurant.
I think you had this last time.
Yeah, with the pratas.
This is the carrot thing.
Carrot and
carrot.
mustard.
Wow.
And it makes...
Can I
You can
taste
cook
it?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
in almost 5 minutes.
So how? Just to explain it, they brought this last time they were on the show. This tastes unbelievable. What is it?
So
and
it's-
how do you make it?
So it's simply carrot, chili, and mustard with oil and red chili. And if I tell you more than that, Dad might get really upset with me.
You heat up the oil, let me tell.
You heat up the oil.
You heat up the oil, and you put in the mustard seeds. And before that, you must have your mise en place ready. The carrots,
Yeah.
the chilies.
It is
Yeah.
the most simplest
And,
pickle to make, but it's
Once
so
the oil
tasty.
is heated up, put the mustards in,
Yeah.
give it a good stir. You'll see the mustard seeds talking to you,
Popping.
Talking to you.
talking to you. And
taught him
you
that.
just put your carrots and chilies in there, add some salt and red chili.
Right.
You cook it for 1 minute.
Right.
Turn the heat off and put 1 tablespoon of white vinegar in it. That's all what you got to do.
And that's it. The taste of this is unbelievable. It really, really is.
And then
Right.
that one is raw mango and fennel.
Okay.
And then that's tamarind
Tamarind. Okay.
with some chili, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's all we need pretty much.
I
and
think
we
your
are
dad's
ready.
just feeding the entire
I know,
crew.
look,
So I'll
you-
just leave your dad to carry on.
This is
It's
how you
fine.
play Indian basketball, guys. Watch.
It's
Go on.
absolutely fine. I've got my neighbours to feed as well, so
Yeah.
let you just leave your dad to crack
It's
on.
all right. He's
it's
bought
absolutely fine.
He's bought about 100 samosas as well.
That's
so it's
no
fine.
problem. It, you
So
know.
my mum wasn't happy this morning because he infused the whole house with oil smell.
I did that before you guys got up.
I think, to be honest, your dad's about to get arrested on the M25,
Oh
so
my
that's
God,
the least of your
don't say-
problems, to be honest with you.
Don't say that.
You're in trouble, big time. So give us the name of this dish then. Are we done with this one?
Yeah, we're done.
Right.
These are my keema onion bhajis served with lots of pickles and any chutneys you want.
That's where it is. So I'm intrigued about these as well. So we're diving. Do you dip it in the tamarind
Yeah,
one?
have it with the tamarind. It's nice. Dad's favourite one.
Do you know what? That vinegar trick is great, though, isn't it?
Not oily at all.
They're not oily at all, are they? No. And is that because you double fry them, or is that just purely?
No, it's just the vinegar touch.
And it's just you can taste. The great thing about these, you can taste everything.
And that raw pomegranate, the cumin, the ajwain, the carom seeds.
Potato, yeah.
And the onions are nice and small, potatoes nice and small.
Cracking dish, that. Dipna and Galoo, everybody! Are you going to stick around for the rest of the show as well?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we're going to get you cooking outside in a bit.
Oh, exciting.
Exactly. Chef Jose Pizarro will be trying to top trump Dipna's dish later on this morning. I'll be laying on lunch for my guest Dave Gorman at the end of the show. But join us in a couple of minutes when Dipna and I will be treating a chef behind one of the most unusual kitchens you're ever likely to see. It's on a trailer, or it was. He's just packed it outside. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Now, we're making another mouth-watering dish for my guest, Dave Gorman, later, and we've got some authentic Spanish cuisine on the way from Chef Jose Pizarro in a little while. But first, I'm outside with Chef Dipna Anand and her dad, Galoo, over there, and we're meeting a Birmingham chef who took the fast lane to success in his unique four-wheel kitchen. It's Lee Desange from Baked in Brick. Now, Lee, good to see you.
How you doing?
Now, we've actually met before, haven't we? We met
22 years ago.
22.
Yeah.
Recognise the face a little bit. But you were just starting your career then?
Yes, I was a comedy chef.
Right.
I was running a food theatre at the Good Food Show in London.
Yeah.
And you were one of the chefs, so I was.
And then you went on to. This is what I love about your story. You went on to work at Le Manoir de Quatre Saisons with Remo Blanc.
Just for a couple of months. I was only there a couple of months.
But leaving there and then Nando's.
Yes, Nando's. Well, Nando's a lot later on in my life.
Manager, bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, we stood by this food truck. Why? How? What's been going on?
I mean, it all started. I love wood-fired cooking.
Right.
I love pizza ovens. Built one in the garden. Got really into doing pizza, but I love street food.
Right.
Knew I wanted to get into street food, but with street food, you need to stand out. You need to be different. My mum always had a Mini, so we've always had this real love affair with Minis. And I'll be honest, one night I was pretty drunk.
Please don't tell you it's not your mother's.
No, it wasn't.
Not that drunk.
No, not that drunk.
Okay.
No, just drunk one night, looking at loads of different food trucks and potential food trucks on eBay, and then I just started bidding on this. And you know when you're just keeping an outbid over and over again?
Yeah.
You bidded for this?
Bidded for it, won it. It was blue, it was a soft top, it had 12 months MOT, 6 months tax. Drove it around for a couple of weeks and then did this to it.
And then this. And you've got a pizza oven on it as well. Galoo's over here manning the barbecue. There's a full-blown barbecue at the front of it.
Yeah.
And you take this, you're saying about festivals, you take this all over the place.
Yeah, so we do loads of festivals, everything from, we just done one recently called Camper Calling,
Yeah.
we Camper Jam, we've done massive ones like Latitude Festival, Camp Festival.
Right.
It's just good fun.
So
good fun.
tell me what dish you're about to create for us now.
So
What are we going to be doing?
This is what we're really well known for. So we do... So my dad is actually Indian.
Yeah.
So I grew up on Indian food and chicken tikka. Right. So developed this chicken tikka recipe over years. We've got some homemade flatbreads that we're going to cook, obviously, in the oven.
I'll let you fire one first of all. So this is genuinely a dish that you do at the festival.
Yeah.
Right.
So we make everything ourselves. So we've made the flatbreads. We prove it overnight in the fridge.
Right.
It's got a very little bit amount of yeast in it, just so it proves nice and slow.
Right.
Just going to roll them out.
How many of you actually go to, like, one of these festivals?
How many staff?
Yeah, like, how many do you take with you?
Usually there's about 8 of us. So we'll have 4 people serving on the front, 1 on the oven.
4 people around this Mini?
No, so we have a massive setup. We have a massive...
You're not cooking everything on this, are you?
Yeah, we do.
You are doing everything
military
on
operation. So you start it off on the barbecue, cook it up, and then we finish it off in the
I love it.
in the oven. And then, yeah, huge setup, massive festival setup.
Right.
4 on the front serving, a few of us behind, prepping.
Because it's becoming so popular, isn't it, the festivals nowadays?
Massive. And I think these days as well, festivals are getting a lot more well-known for their food.
They're having to
obviously.
diversify with food, aren't you?
Yeah. And I think the people that come to festivals now, they really want to... It's not just about a greasy burger.
Yeah.
They want something a little bit more special.
Yeah.
So that's where we
I'm
sort
just
of come
intrigued. You must be making so many of these. I mean, we've just got a curry trailer, and we like do the fast dishes, but this is like...
I'm going to admit, we cheat a little bit. We do have a dough roller on site that we just chuck the dough through. We still make it all ourselves.
Okay.
And it just, yeah. When we very first started, I had a friend of mine called Rich, and he used to be there on the back rolling all these doughs out, and then we soon thought to ourselves that...
You quickly realised
it was just going to be too
When
much.
you see the queue into a different county, right. OK, so this is genuinely a wood-fired pizza oven on top of a Mini that we got in here.
Yeah, chef.
Thank you very much.
Watch that for us.
I say, there you go, chef. You're gonna go over to Galoo. So what have you got going on here?
So we've got our chicken tikka. It's thigh.
What are you doing
it's marinated for 24 hours. It's a recipe that I've done for years.
Right.
We've just cooked it on these...
So tell us what's in the recipe. Is that a yogurt-based thing? Or...
Yogurt-based, garam masala, cumin, coriander, amchur powder. A lot of people haven't heard of that. It's
I have.
amchur powder.
Amchur, yeah. Raw mango powder.
That's
mango powder. It gives it a bit of an acidity flavour to it. White pepper, some chilli, salt, oil.
So that's otherwise known as mango powder if people are looking for it. Is that what it...
That's
I don't think on the packet... No, it would say amchur powder.
It does say
on the
amchur
packet.
on it, yeah.
It
says amchur.
You need to go to a specific, like, somewhere specific to get that.
Right. I'm loving this pizza oven. This is amazing. And did you buy it like this, or was
I
this...
built it.
So you built it like this? This was a genuine Mini that you used to drive around in, and then you chopped this all up and built that?
Yeah. When I had loads more time on my hands, just tinkered away in a shed at the bottom of the garden.
Right.
So, chicken, mint yoghurt.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some hot sauce on next.
Loving this. It's great.
Yeah,
idea,
and can you imagine at festivals, people must love this, just love all the theatre.
I think what they like the theatre, but then it's a bit fresh. It's not too greasy. You know, they've been walking around stage to stage, and it just fits the bill really well.
I think it's fantastic. And just give us an idea of a volume. What's the most amount of sort of these are you selling at a festival?
We've done 3,000 a day at a festival.
Whoa.
You need a bigger truck.
Yeah, we do.
Or you need to be more organised and use a littler truck. Yeah. That's what you need to be doing. That's exactly what you do.
And 8 staff.
Well, best of luck with it as well. I think it's fantastic. And people be able to see this out and about, whether it's on the trailer or all the festivals as well.
Yeah.
And good luck with everything as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
There you go, everybody. Lee, everybody.
Yay!
Done. Meanwhile, I'll just crack on and do a few more. Right, I would say dive into this, but I'm going to let you dive in. I'm also going to let the hordes dive in as well. So dive in, everybody. Right, still to come, we'll be chatting some more with comedian Dave Gorman, and I'll be joining some classic Spanish cooking from chef Jose Pizarro. But join us again in a couple of minutes. We'll be back in the kitchen for a masterclass in tart tatin that you don't want to miss. I'll see you in a bit. Save me some. Welcome back. Now I'll be rustling up a spot of lunch for my guest Dave Gorman very shortly, and I'll be saying hola to Chef Jose Pizarro as he takes over the kitchen duties next. But first, it's time for this week's Little Masterclass. And this week's Masterclass, I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide to one of the most iconic French desserts, probably one of the most iconic desserts in the world, to be honest, an apple tart tatin, a classic tart tatin. So, first of all, with the tart tatin, where does it come from? It's said that in about 1800s that a restaurant was set up by 3 sisters. One of the sisters accidentally, how they did it, I've got no idea, put the tartine upside down and then turned it over. That's how the tart tatin was invented. But it's become one of the most iconic desserts in the world and one of the best desserts in the world. It's right up there in my mind with lemon tart, tarte au citron, and a 99 with a flake. It's that iconic I think, with this. But as a pastry chef, it's one of the best desserts to make. It really, really is. So you can make it with any autumnal sort of fruits. And I've got a selection that we've got in here. I've got them growing in the garden. I've got apples. I've got blackberries on the hedgerows. We've got mulberries in the garden. I've got pears growing in the garden as well. If you are going to do it with pears, the idea is to poach them first and a little bit of stock syrup with some lemon. But you can do it with apples, and that's the classic way. But like I said, it can be sweet or savoury, this. Sometimes it can be done with shallots. It can be done with fennel. It can be done with pineapple. And if you're going to do it with shallots and fennel and chicory, that kind of stuff, it's usually served with seafood, or it can be a goat's cheese for a vegetarian alternative. It's a classic way of making a wonderful, wonderful dish. So, first of all, what we're going to do is you start off with the pan. The pan is quite crucial. Whatever you're going to cook it in, that's what you start off in. So it needs to be oven-proof, really. Ideally, a cast-iron pan, because it retains the heat. It's the best way to cook it in. So I've got these sort of small pans over here. Generally, if you're going to do it in a bigger pan, it's much more difficult to turn out. So I would do smaller ones and more of them rather than try and do a massive one. It's really complicated to turn out. So we're going to start off with our nice pan. Then we use a combination of sugar and butter. And this is where this sort of varies how you start this off. And I started off with the butter and the sugar in first. Some chefs will start it off with the sugar in the pan and caramelise it and then add the butter. But I put the butter and the sugar in together. Now, usually, it's double the quantity of sugar to butter. That's roughly what you're looking at. There. So that starts off in our pan. And what you want to do is start that sort of not caramelising, you want to start that sort of dissolving and working together. It almost looks like a stock syrup, like a sticky stock syrup to start with, which will carry on cooking. Meanwhile, turn our attention to our apples. I've started off and I've got some done over here, but these have just been peeled and cored. Now, you can do with this is peel, core, and cut them in half. It's entirely up to you. But when you just peel them, if you're doing big quantities, just a little bit of acidulated water, just with a little bit of lemon and stop them going brown. But cut them out with a corer, like that. And then a lot of chefs, what they will do is they'll either quarter these or half them. But to make it easier for you, and it's a lot easier if you keep them whole like this. Now, this is the key to this. What you don't want to do is start to caramelise this too much. So it's important when you get to this stage, you get the temperature almost set right, first of all. So you want this sort of, think of it like gently simmering. You don't want to be boiling, because if you boil it rapidly, what will happen is, because the amount of sugar in here, it'll caramelise. Now, we do want it to caramelise, but we want it to caramelise over about sort of 20 to 30 minutes. Just allow it just to tick over gently. If we don't, what happens is it caramelised straight away, and two things are going to happen. You're going to be too early with the caramel, and it's not going to cook the apples. So what we do with this is we set the temperature right first. Once we get to that point, then we can add our apples. Now, like you say, you can either add these halves or wholes. Wholes are much easier, to be honest with you, but we can take our apples like that. And you want to cram it into the dish. So if it starts to bubble too much, turn it down again. That's the perfect sort of thing that we want. Gently simmering now, like that. Now, while that's happening, it's going to cook the apples. So what we need to do, every sort of 2 or 3 minutes, something like that, and this is why it's actually enjoyable to do. And I posted stuff on social media when I've been involved in functions and restaurants where the chefs just leave me to it. And I'm in my own little zone here. I'll do hundreds of portions. And we've got about 10 pans going on at the same time, all with about 20 apples in each pan. I'm just spending most of the day just making these, and that's all I'm doing. But it's really enjoyable when it's a chef's thing, I know. But you just turn this over, and as you turn it over, you can see that the apples start to change in terms of consistency, texture. They'll start to soften as they cook, but also, as they cook, this sugar will start to caramelise and go brown. Now, this takes a good 20 minutes to get to this point when they're ready to use. So you can see they're bubbling away nicely. And I'll just leave those ticking away on the stove so you can just keep your eye on those. And you'll see every sort of 2 or 3 minutes you keep rolling them around. That's the important bit. After about 20 minutes, we end up with this. That's what they look like as it starts to caramelise. They go like the ultimate toffee apples. Now, what you do need to do, if this starts to get a bit hot again, just turn it down a little bit. The temptation is to cook these too quickly. You must take about 20 minutes to get them right, all right? So once you get to that stage, allow this to cool. Two things are the reason why you allow it to cool. Mainly because of the puff pastry. It's difficult to work with when it's hot, but particularly with the puff pastry, because that's the next bit. So in the fridge, I've got some puff pastry that I made. That just happens to be ready rolled. The key to puff pastry is use all butter puff pastry, because butter is where you get the flavour from your puff pastry. So we've got a nice little bit of puff pastry. Look at it. It's just gently, gently simmering away now. You can see what's happening with the apples, look. Like that. So we've got a nice little bit of all butter puff pastry here. The great thing about puff pastry, you can trim this all up and you can utilise the whole thing, all the trimmings and everything. So don't just get rid of this, because puff pastry is fantastic. You can use it for cheese straws, just a little bit of Parmesan cheese, a little bit of egg wash. You can make simple cheese straws that we've done on the show before as well. It's fantastic, so keep this as well. And you can re-roll it out as many times as you want, puff pastry. So with this, you can do it with two ways, really. You can do it with a fork, but when you go over with a fork, make sure you go over lots and lots of holes, because the point of the puff pastry is that you want to make sure it's all cooked all the way through. And if you don't, what happens is, as the puff pastry, the nature of puff pastry is layers of butter and pastry. As the butter melts, it creates steam. It's trapped in between layers of pastry, and it causes the pastry to rise. What we want is the flavour of the puff pastry, but we don't want it to rise too much. So to do that, we're creating air holes to allow the steam to rise, so we don't end up with a pastry top that's like a pie, really. It's not what we're looking for, right? Then what we do is, this is the important bit. You've got to imagine the tart tatin as you turn it out, the pastry's around the edge. So rather than just like a pie, you do that, and then when you turn it out, it looks like an apple pizza. It's a disaster. What you want to do is you want to tuck this around the edge. And this is where allowing the apples to go cold is quite important. But you put them all the way around the edge like that. You're tucking it down the side of the dish. But when you're doing it, you're also tightening everything in. So you're bringing the apples in like that. Now, you don't have to be perfect with this. You can be just, as long as the pastry is down in the edge. Now, what's going to happen is there's a bit of caramel left in the bottom of this dish. As it sort of cooks, it's going to go sticky and chewy and that kind of stuff onto the pastry that it's stuck onto. You can pop this in the fridge now. This will keep in the fridge for a couple of days, and then you can cook this, I was going to say to order, you can cook it to whenever you want it, really. But the idea is pop it in the fridge and then cook it whenever you want. This takes about 25 to 30 minutes. And when you're cooking it, I always put it on a baking, I'll show you in here, but I put it on a cooling rack and a tray. If you don't do that and put it on just a tray, it's going to boil over and stick to it. But it's also on here, you don't want to just put it on a rack, because it's just without a tray, because it's going to set fire, well, not set fire, but ruin your cooker. But you just put that on there, and that'll just sit there and cook nicely. So you can just go back to our apples just a second, so you can see what I'm talking about. But this is perfect. This is exactly the temperature that you want. Now, it doesn't appear anything's going to happen, does it, over a period of sort of 20 minutes. That sugar's going to caramelise those. The butter starts to dissolve. You can see the steam's coming off it. You see the apples start to change that texture. That's what you're looking for this. Now, whether you're doing it with pineapple, whether you're doing it with pears, it's chicory, shallots, it's the same way. It's exactly the same process. Once you get to that stage and it's out of the oven, we then got this. This is your classic tart tatin. Now, sometimes there's a little bit more liquid than you need in here. You can drain this off. You just turn it, you can just drain that off. But that's fine for me. I'm quite happy with that. What we'll do is I'll just go around with a little knife just to make sure it's loosened up. We'll just check it. So it's not stuck to the side of the dish. Often with that, if it's a bit too cold, it can stick a little bit. But I'm quite happy with that. Like that. And then what we do is grab your plate or your vessel that you're going to serve it in, like that. And then this sort of sits on the top, like that. And then pray, technically. But what you want to do, this is one movement, you just tip it straight out. Now, if there's too much caramel, my best advice is don't do it that way, otherwise it's hot and it could go onto you. Do it that way. That way it goes all over the crew. All right? but you have pre-warned them. So you just take that and in one movement, very, very quickly, flip it over. Bang, like that. All right? So straight over. And we just leave that to sit there. Meanwhile, just have a little taste of caramel, which is nice. Now we're going to serve this with a little bit... Oh, I've got some clotted cream over here. You can serve this with ice cream, pouring cream. Ice cream, pouring cream, it's entirely up to you what you want to serve it with, but I just like a little bit of clotted cream with this. Just a little bit. And interestingly enough, the French don't have really the cream like us. They have this thing called mountain cream, which is a bit like our really thick double cream, but they don't have sort of double cream like we have. Their cream is quite light. Then what you do is you just carefully lift this off. And you've got your tart stand. Now, what you can do, if you wanted to, is you can then have a little bit of caramel. And that little bit of caramel left over is what I've got in this pan over here. So this is if, sometimes you get it in the tray, that kind of stuff, you end up with a little bit of caramel left over as the apples start to cook. It's exactly the same mixture as what I've got in here. It's the butter and the sugar, but you can see that as they're starting to cook now, you can see that the butter and the sugar are starting to change colour as we're doing this. And you can also see, if you do this too quick, the apples are going to catch, the sugar's going to caramelise, and they're not going to be soft. So you just need to rotate them like that so they all cook nice and evenly. And what we've got in here is our lovely caramel. And then you can use a pastry brush and you can just brush that over the top before you serve it. But this, particularly this time of the year, I would have said this is probably the most iconic dessert that you can make. And it really uses, what, 4 ingredients? Bit of puff pastry, bit of apple, touch of sugar, bit of butter. And it's one of the tastiest desserts. It makes apple pie look a bit rubbish, to be honest with you. And trust me, the taste of it is spectacular. So there you have it, a classic version of a tart tatin of apple that is perfect for this time of the year. And we've got to thank 3 sisters, or particularly one sister from France, for inventing it in the first place. I reckon it wasn't a mistake. I reckon it was drink. Oh, there you go. Now, if there's anything you'd like to learn about, a little masterclass, then do get in touch. We'll see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break. Join me again after the ads when I'll be joining a dish of saffron monkfish from the brilliant chef, Jose Pizarro. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, comedian Dave Gorman will be taking a seat at the chef's table very shortly. But first, I'm here with a chef who left the Michelin-starred restaurants in Madrid to become one of London's masters of tapas. It's the fabulous Jose Pizarro. Love it when you're here at the house. I love it. So what are you going to be doing then? What are you going to... First of all, how are you?
I think I'm fine. Busy.
Yeah, I know you're busy. I know, exactly. You've got amazing stuff. We're going to talk about what you're going to be doing as well. Tell me about the dish that you're going to be doing.
We are going to do some sauce with, of course, onion, garlic, tomato, some black-eyed beans.
Yeah, OK.
And then we are going to add some spices and monkfish and with some coriander.
So you want me to get on and do the monkfish first? So I'll start pan-frying that.
And then I'm going to drain the lovely beans.
OK, so are these beans are soaked, cooked? What are because the idea is you soak them first, yeah?
Exactly. They are dry, they are soaked, and they are been cooking for around, I think, between 30 to 50 minutes.
Right. You can do them in a pressure cooker. You can do those, can't you?
Quicker, and we'll do the same. But I still love it. That kind of to see, you know what I mean? To see the boiling, you know?
Yeah.
That feeling.
You want to see it rather than, yeah, exactly. Cover it over. So we've got the monkfish as well. This is line-caught monkfish, which is absolutely delicious, by the way.
Important to be sustainable is how we need to be.
But you have this a lot in Spain, no?
We have a lot, and but I think I discovered more the monkfish here in the UK than in Spain. We have a lot, but I cook more monkfish here than.
But do you do? I mean, because I mean the Spanish markets and bits and pieces, which I love. Do you use the monkfish cheeks as well? Because I don't know why we don't have them in the UK.
We have. I do in my restaurant.
Yeah, I know you do, but you don't see them around so much. Where you go to Spain, you go to France, you go to Italy, you have the monkfish cheeks, the cod cheeks. They're amazing.
The cod cheeks. Because it's the texture
Yeah.
Just so unique.
Yeah.
But talking about chicks, for me, the cod chicks.
The cod cheeks are amazing.
Nay.
They've got a little membrane underneath it, which if you see them around they're about the size of a sort of a golf ball, really.
Yeah.
You can just remove the membrane underneath it. They're fantastic. Yeah.
It's something very, very special. And it's not too expensive.
Yeah.
And people love it. And something different in the menu.
Absolutely.
Always we want to, you know what I mean? We want to discover and to enjoy, really.
Exactly. Right, that's in.
Yeah.
That frees up that.
And then we change that down there. We just extra virgin olive oil, just a little bit more.
Okay. With it. So you've got the onions and the garlic cooking down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's
Some
next?
tomatoes.
Yeah.
Let's do it there. Like that.
Now, we want to get on the food and stuff like that. You've been working with different companies to do food as well. But you kindly sent me this amazing book the other week. And this, I mean, tell us about this book. What number is this in your list of books so far?
Number 6.
Yeah.
This is, I think every book is coming from my kitchen, I have to say. It's very special because it's part of our life.
Yeah.
But this one is more than anything else. It's all about my memories.
Well, talking about memories, this is your fabulous husband that's in here as well.
Future husband.
Yeah, but he's the superstar.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
He is amazing.
Yeah.
But by the way, he's saying his love. He couldn't be here today.
Right, he's an absolute superstar. So, I mean, the wonderful. This just sums up Spain to me. What?
She's my mum.
Your mum?
89 years last August.
Yeah.
And she is amazing. Yeah. She is the one teaching myself what is important. And even I was not allowed to be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But now I can be.
Now you're allowed in the kitchen.
Just a little
so
bit.
Please tell me, has she been to? She must have been to your restaurants a few times, has she? So do you get critiqued and stuff like that? Does she? You must be nervous when your mum's in the restaurant.
I'm always nervous to be around her because she's the biggest critic. I remember the first time she came to London.
Yeah.
And she was to the tapas bar, and she tried the lentils, and she and my dad was like, "Sam, it's a problem here."
Really?
Okay. What happened, Dad, Mum? She said, "These lentils are not cooked enough." My mom normally put the lentils like for 2 hours. Right. You know what I mean? Nice and soft.
Yeah.
And when she tried mine, it was like, "It's a problem, Sam."
Yeah.
But she was happy.
So you're doing the lentils how she does them now?
No way.
No, she's gone back to Spain.
She's back to Spain and she does like I do now. Exactly. We have the tomato.
Right,
we have some chili flakes.
Yeah.
Some cumin.
Yeah.
Just all like that.
Do you use a lot of cumin in Spain?
Not really.
Right, I was going to say.
Not much at all.
I haven't seen it in many things, yeah?
We use a little bit, but more in the south than anywhere. Okay. Andalusia. They're still cooking slowly.
That's all right. It's just still warming up as well. So tell me about this. What are you using this for? This is the pimenton, which...
Pimenton.
This is the smoked
paprika.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's changing completely the flavor. It's giving that kind of smokiness.
Yeah. So you get sweet...
balanced so well.
You get sweet and hot. What would people go for? You get...
Sweet, hot, and bittersweet.
Okay, all right.
And I think it's the spices that we use more in the whole Spain.
Okay, all right.
We have this one. We are gonna just cook a little bit the pimenton, the paprika.
Yeah.
Very important with the paprika, you know, don't
take that off
overcook.
now. Just leave that to one side.
If you fry too much, will get nice. Well, not nice. They will get bitter.
Okay.
Some salt.
Yeah.
And what else? Some pepper.
Yeah.
And now, this is what I've been working. You've been telling me I've been working in something.
Yeah.
As you know, always like to be busy.
Yeah.
Try this stock.
So this is going to go in there using
Go in
that. Yeah. Okay, I'll check the monkfish. So when do the beans go in then? When are you putting
the beans? Are going to be right now.
This fish
Give
is
me
cooked.
1 second. Whoop.
There you go.
Like that.
That's perfect.
And then the beans, where are they? Just a little bit of them. Not all. Well, no. We can have some food later. And we are going to put a little bit more
Coriander? Okay, I'll chop that for you, yeah.
And, of course, plenty of, again, olive oil.
Yeah.
Whoop. That's it.
So as well as that, tell everybody about your restaurants, because you've not just got the tapas restaurants as well. You took over a pub from another fellow chef.
From Claude Bossy.
Yeah.
Amazing, great chef. And that's it. 6 of them, and then the RA, the Royal Academy of Art.
Exactly. I walked past there the other day. Couldn't get a table, packed out, everybody sat outside.
It's lovely, I have to say. It's, I love art, as you do. You know, it's something chef and art go together.
It is something about when you speak to a lot of chefs and about artists, and you speak to artists, a lot of they want to be chefs and vice versa, don't they? But I suppose it's the same sort of thing, creativeness.
I think because art is the same thing than food. Art is than food. We make people move the stomach, you know, move the feelings. And it's all about that movement. It's about making people happy. And art making you think, the same than food.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all thinking. Now, go on then. So you want a little bit of that, and then we're about ready, are we?
We are almost ready.
So that's the saffron is just infused in this wonderful little bit of olive oil. I've got my plate here. Do you want a little bit more of this in there?
I'm going to put a lot more of that there, please. And 1 spoon. Where can I have 1 serving spoon? This one.
Serving spoon. I'll get you it. It's fine. I'll get you another serving spoon.
Perfecto. But yeah, it's busy time, my friend, as you do.
That's brilliant. Right.
We love to be busy. Can you imagine?
What about the vinegar? Do you want a bit of that in there?
Yes. I say bloody hell, sorry.
This is what I'm here for. Do you want a bit of that in there?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is sherry vinegar, isn't it, really?
Sherry vinegar, a little bit sweet, and I have to say, change the flavors, my friend.
That's what you can have it with or without.
Absolutely.
If you forget it or whether you don't.
And it's gonna taste just amazing.
Right, there's your lovely little monkey.
Fish, put it there. Come on, chef, do some work yourself.
I am doing a little bit of work. So you take a little bit more olive oil over the top of this. Which has just been
if you don't have mom fish, the good thing about these recipes, if you don't have mom fish, you can use, as you know, anything that you can get in the fishmonger.
Yeah.
As cod go extremely well.
This is beautiful, that.
And that's it. How simple was that? It was like
I tell you what, this is what I love.
10 minutes, my
You
friend.
know I love Spanish food, and I love it for this. I love the simplicity of it. And
you need to come to my house in Spain. Well, you are going to come to my house.
There you go. So give us the name of this dish then.
It's black eye beans, carillas, we call in my area.
Yeah.
And with tomato, coriander, and spices, monfish, of course, and saffron, only extra virgin olive oil.
I told you he was a genius. Jose, everybody. Right, I'm looking forward to this. So we just dive in. Yes. Look at that. I tell you what, I'm looking at this thinking, this with a bit of octopus.
Yeah.
Oh.
Grilled octopus will be, yeah, absolutely amazing. Happy food.
Great dish, isn't it? Just a great... It's a great plate of great food.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Thank you, my friend.
Food to make you smile, just like yourself. Jose Pizarro, everybody. He's going to be sticking around, helping me out at the end of the show as well. He's going to be sticking me out. Let's stick around to the end of the show. Still got time for one more final course, so join us after the break, where me and Jose will be treating comedian Dave Gorman to a real showstopper recipe. I'll see you in a couple of minutes. See you in a bit. That is delicious.
Works well.
Absolutely delicious.
Works very well.
Welcome back, sadly, to the last part of the show. But I'm back in the kitchen with all my guests and the one and only Dave Gorman. And so what I thought we'd do is I thought I'd do a wonderful little dish. Really, really great. Now, this fish is all of sustainability. This is a little bit of gurnard. And the thing about gurnard is when it's in season, it's really inexpensive. This cost me £6. Nothing. So this big bit of fish, and it's big. If you equate this to sort of line-caught sea bass, you're probably talking about maybe 8-10 times the price. I'm going to just basically simply grill this, and we're going to do this with, think of it like a French, because we've got the Spanish here, we've got Indian cookery we've been doing. I thought we'd do a little bit of the French classic. We're going to do a south of France. We're going to go visit the south of France. and we're going to do like a little tapenade on a little bit of toast. We're going to do a nice little ratatouille style thing with tomatoes and courgettes, a little bit of garlic, that sort of stuff. So I'm going to start off with the courgettes and start chopping these up. Now, Dave, we talked earlier about the tour.
Yeah.
You're bang in the middle of the tour as well.
Yeah.
So, but we didn't mention the name of the tour. We never do, because we're too busy chatting about food and everything else.
Yeah.
Give us the name of the tour.
The tour is called PowerPoint to the People.
Yeah.
Which tells you what it is. It's a PowerPoint presentation, but not like a normal business one. I think somebody once told me in a business presentation, you must never use more than 25 slides.
Right.
I use 850 slides in the night. So it's very sort of dynamic and quick and moving all the time. And a lot of information.
And we spoke earlier about the funny stories while you've been on tour. You got heckled almost off stage and stuff like that when you first started off.
Yeah.
Not now, of course, but now you've got some amazing stories. Now we visited birth.
We've had birth, so let me tell you the other story.
You've got a reverse to this. You've got death on tour.
I'm going to
Not as you know it.
I'm going to pair that anecdote with this anecdote. I was in Carlisle. This was on the last tour. I used to do a meet and greet after the shows. We're not doing it now in a post-COVID way, but in those days I did. And there'd be a queue of people coming up, and there was a guy at the back of the queue in Carlisle. He had a Tesco carrier bag with him, which I thought was a weird thing to bring to a show. Maybe has he nipped out and done his shopping afterwards and he's brought it now? And he got to the front and he put it on the table and said, "Do you know what's in there?" I went, "No." He went, "It's my dad." And there was an urn with his dad's ashes in, and he'd bought the tickets a few months earlier for him and his dad. And in between buying the tickets and the show happening, his dad has sadly passed on, and he thought, I bought it for him, he's still coming to the show.
See, the crew don't know whether to laugh or to whatever you do.
So I cater for birth and death.
Exactly.
They're all part of the show.
All
I've had 2 proposals happen mid-show as well. So in Newcastle and Sydney, Australia, at the Opera House, I've had couples get engaged. So I've gone births, marriages and deaths.
We've all had that in the restaurant business. You must have had that?
Yeah.
Have you had... The last one was a no?
No, not yet.
Have you had the one that said no? Yeah.
No.
I've had that.
Yes, you have.
I genuinely had to go out and present this cake. I spent ages making this cake. The ring was in the cake. I presented to this lady. The guy got down on one knee. Room silence. Restaurant, 200 people. No. She got up, screamed, and ran out. What do you do?
What can you do?
Then what did
you have to marry her?
Yeah, what did you do?
She'd gone. She'd gone. She'd gone. I thought, do you know what? I think you need some sticky toffee pudding, lad. So
did you give him a nice dessert or something? I was going to say...
The problem with a public proposal is you have put moral pressure on the person who must have some fondness for you to not embarrass you in public. One of the 2 that I had, it was at the Sydney Opera House, and we watched the couple afterwards. We went out for a little drink on the harbour, and I could see the couple in the distance, and me and my crew were going, they're not going to get married.
Now, we've talked about touring, but one thing we didn't mention was writing.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you've written for some very, very famous people, huge successful comedians and shows and bits and pieces.
Yeah, a little bit. So I used to write for the Mrs. Merton show with Caroline Aherne, but it was all because I started off in Manchester, and I lived there, and there wasn't that big a scene for comedy. There was only 1 gig in town. You could do it once a year, so everyone had to sort of live there and travel.
Yeah.
And the only comics who lived there was like Steve Coogan, John Thompson, Caroline Aherne, myself, Henry Normal. There was a double act called Brute Farce. There was a musician called Bob Dillinger, but that was it. There was like 7 comedians who lived in town. And we used to do a new material night once a week.
Yeah.
All 7 of us. And so I was 19 and just starting, and they were all a bit more established. But every week they were working with me. I was turning up with new material, and they could see I was a writer. And so I wrote little tiny bits for Steve when in those days. And then when the Mrs. Merton show started, Caroline asked me to join the team and work on that.
That must have been an amazing time, wasn't it?
What a learning experience for me, you know, really young, working with these amazing people and watching Caroline be really sure of what she was doing. So you'll know this on telly. There was one thing. We had Patrick Litchfield, a photographer, on, and part of the joke was Mrs. Merton's showing him her holiday, her photos.
Yeah.
What do you think? Give me a critique. And what we actually put in were a load of embarrassing old photos from Caroline Ahern's actual family that were just out of focus and a bit silly.
Yeah.
And he was reacting to them, and then the director says, right, we need an over-the-shoulder shot so we can see the photos. And she stood up to the directors and she stood up to the producers, and they said, well, let's just do one, and then if we need it in the edit, we've got it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not, because she knew if they had one, they would use it. Like, they wouldn't be able to resist using it. She knew the joke was funnier in your own imagination than in reality. And she stood her ground, and watching someone, you know, quite young, but who knew her business, stand up to all the pressure that was coming from the outside and just go, no, I know this. I'm right about this. You've got to trust me. And over the various series, by the end of it, whatever she said, everyone knew her instinct was right.
Yeah.
But great to watch as a young comic.
I mean, that was the case with so many comedians. I mean, you look at Les Dawson and all that. Remember the old clips? They managed to... There's a joke, but television, and be able to envisage what they're watching, it's a different thing. Do you know what I mean? It's different. Must be a different thing to stand up, because you stood there doing it.
Yeah,
you've almost got to see it totally different.
Paint pictures with words so beautifully. He was an amazing, amazing comic. And again, if you've been doing it for years and you've been on the road, your act gets hardened, and you know it better than anyone. And you understand what you're doing to make them laugh, and you understand how telly can ruin it by showing them too much or not enough,
can ruin it,
or whatever. Absolutely, yeah.
What about if you, like, repeat the same thing? Like, do you normally, like, get a negative reaction, or is it...
With TV, sometimes they make you do something again because something technically isn't right. And actually, in that environment, the audiences are normally really helpful because they feel like they're in on something private, because they're in... Morecambe and Wise used to deliberately mess up the very first routine and then tell the audience, we'll do it again, laugh louder, and they would, because they loved Morecambe and Wise and they wanted to be a helpful part of the television experience. But it was a bit of shtick to get the audience on your side and make them play along.
But there we go. Look, we're blending our little tapenade up. So this is a little bit of olive oil, touch of garlic in here, a little bit of fresh thyme, some black olives. I've got my bread, which is under the grill, just cooking away with the fish. This is the finish. So the idea of this is not to overcook it, because I think with any... I mean, reminds me of the Spanish thing. You probably put a little bit of sherry vinegar in there.
We do that with not overcook, but you really cook very slow to bring all the flavors together.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely amazing. But sometimes like that.
Well, I think doing it slow like that with tomatoes it keeps the flavour nice in. But I think...
Spanish, I would chuck a bit of garam masala in there, you know.
That's it.
So this
West Midlands, I took in a bit of tripe.
So we've got a touch...
love tribes. Tribes and chickpeas.
That's it, that's finished. Lovely. There you go. So we've got a little bit of balsamic vinegar, so that's going to sit in there. That's that one. I'm going to make a simple little... There, bread's ready. So lift this out. Look. So you can see our fish is cooking away. It's actually... This is a fish that I wouldn't really pan fry. So if you pan fry it, it curls up, doesn't it? Yeah. So any fish that's like that, particularly, well, bass is another one. It's quite a muscular fish, quite a firm fish. And when you pan fry it, it curls up quite badly. So I'd stick to grilling it like that. But when you do this, we've got a nice little bit of tapenade.
You're so slick. I almost didn't notice you filleting the fish, and I'm sort of annoyed that I didn't take in the details. You're too slick, James. That's a really complicated thing that you made look like you were just sorting out a cutlery drawer.
Well, I was chatting to you about other things.
But how do you do that?
We were talking about Tesco's curry bags at that moment in time. That's what we're talking about. It's told deviating away from me hashing up a piece of fish. That's what it's called. It's putting the camera on you see.
Too slick, mate.
I don't know about that. But
and the proposal conversation was too interesting.
Got a nice little bit of tapenade over the top, which I love. I love this sort of stuff. There we go. Bit of that. But then what we're going to do is grab some of this, and you can see it's not like a ratatouille, but it's just nice and light, and you can sit that on the top.
We have colours that make you happy.
What's that?
The freshness like that make you happy.
The freshness of it, that's
you want to eat.
This is what I love about Spanish food. You know I love your style of food as well. I do think, Spain for me is one of those places where Italy, you've got all that bravado before you even get fed. Yeah. You just feel like they're painting a picture,
Dolce vita.
Do you know what I mean? It's kept like that. But I think what I love about sort of the Spanish way of cooking is this go. There you go. You know it's good. Do you know what I mean? It's that, wherever. I love that.
I think that's the fun of having like tapasy style food.
I love the confidence side.
People are discovering now. People know that Spanish food is really, really amazing and really underwhelmed now. People don't know very well.
And it's the confidence of it. So just leave that. So just chill out there for a second. Wow. There we go. Is it OK?
Perfectly good, chef.
Perfectly cooked?
Good.
Good, good. So the dressing, a really, really quick dressing. So lemon juice, touch of that. Really good quality olive oil. I do think the Spanish has the best olive oil in the world. I'll let you have that
Everything I know, I think Spanish produce more olive oil than anywhere else.
Okay.
And another countries sell more olive oil than Spain.
And it's quite unusual. Is it right? Is it that the Italians sell more olive oil than they actually produce?
I don't want to say anything.
I believe that's yeah. Anyway, there you go.
They're importing.
They're
Spanish
importing.
olive
They're
oil.
importing. And you know what? I do believe people are clever, and you know, it's something that we need to learn from another country.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think it's unbelievable. So a little bit of, and that's it. So you just take that with the fish. This is perfect, and we just build it all up. And this is what I love this kind of cooking. But it's just that.
This might sound unlikely, but I have a 7-year-old boy at home who would love that.
Really?
Genuinely, he loves
Really?
olives and like tapenade. That's his perfect thing, and that's colourful and exciting.
7
to him.
years old.
7 years old.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But look, a little bit of the fish over the top.
Like we say before, it's happy food.
Happy food. And you've got a little bit.
I don't know if I didn't like olives when I was a kid because I was a kid in the 70s and no one had olives, or he's weird for liking olives. I don't know which it is.
You take the dressing of this as well. There we go. Over the top. And then finally, you've got this lovely dressing we can just put over the top of the fish. And there we have it. It's a little taste of France in Hampshire. Easy as that. Bon appetit. Done. Right, I'm going to lift some out of here, and then I'll get you to have a taste of that one. There you go. And then you guys can dive into that one. Tell me what you think. Because I think this will work. This in a tandoor oven, Dad...
Will that work? His mind's thinking.
His mind's always thinking, you see. That's...
Especially every time he comes here, for sure.
Amazing. The fish is amazing, isn't it?
It's
really?
so yummy.
But it's banging season as well. Look out for it. It's quite a... Often you'll see it a little bit redder. It can almost look like a red mullet, that kind of stuff, like orangey sort of colour. But look out for it. If you see it, fishmongers, supermarkets, I urge you to get it because it's an amazing fish. It's fantastic and really inexpensive at the moment when it's banging season. There we have it. Well, that's it. Sadly, that's all we've got time for today. A massive thank you to all my guests, Jess Patterson, Dipna and Gulu Anand, Jose Pizarro, and, of course, the brilliant Dave Gorman. Thank you all. Great show today. Good luck with the rest of the tour as well.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. We'll see you back here, same time, same place, next Saturday morning. We'll be joined by more top chefs and other brilliant guests. Until then, take care. Have a great weekend. I'll see you at my house next Saturday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. It's all right, isn't it?